So I was writing a piece for the Philadelphia Orchestra. That's how I got to end up with this, using this traditional melody. And I had worked with Eugene Ormandy. I have to get my rattle for this. And I had written a piece for the Philadelphia Orchestra, a French horn concerto, which had jazz and Latin music as part of it. And since I was born in this country, that's not shocking. But Mr. Ormandy, who came from, originally from Hungary, was not unappreciative of the beauties of those musics, but as the conductor of the Philadelphia Orchestra, he realized the board of directors thought that Brahms was too avant-garde. And the people who were, at that time, this has all changed, thank heavens, but back in the 1930s, when he was assigned that, people who did all that were able to decide pretty much which 7 pieces they liked, and that's what got played almost all the time. So the people in the orchestra liked the horn concerto, but he was afraid maybe I'd write something like that again and he might get fired. So I said, Maestro, I was born in Philadelphia, grew up on a farm in Feasterville. My uncle who used to take me in to hear the orchestra changed my life. This is the biggest honor of my life. And he said, Amram, no jazz! He had that kind of high register way to speak. I said, well, Maestro, this won't have jazz. It's inspired by Native American music. He said, what? And I said, yes, Maestro, the music of the Indian people. He said, oh my God, that's worse. And I said, well, no. I said, it's very beautiful. He said, no, it's too simple. It's too monotonous. It's all the time. Hi-ya-da-da, hi-ya-da-da, hi-ya, hi-ya, hi-ya. I said, Maestro, that's what they have in the beer commercial. The Indian people don't do that. He said, no, it's too simple. I said, well, Maestro, this one has an ABB form. It uses quarter tones. It has mixed meters. It's very sophisticated. I think you'll love it. He said, no, I got this hopeless, too simple. So I said, well, let me show you, Maestro. So I played him this wonderful Cheyenne war dance. And he said, it's too complicated. Sometimes, as they say in the pure culture, you just got to keep on trucking. So I decided to use a much simpler song. And this is the beautiful one that Floyd Westerman taught me that I used in the piece. And Ormandy even liked it. He said, David, sing that for the boys. They did have one woman in the orchestra who played the harp and a cellist, but at that time they didn't acknowledge women were on the planet Earth in symphonies back when he was coming up. And they don't refer to, especially male musicians over 50 or 60 as the boys anymore, but this was another era. So this is the beautiful song, the way Floyd Westerman taught it to me. It's been done for a long time before there was a Philadelphia or a Philadelphia Orchestra, or even in Europe, right here in this country. Some of the fraction of the thousands of different kinds of music that we're blessed to have still alive in this place where we're all blessed to live. And the name of it, in case anybody's recording this in their iPhone or has a good memory, is Mestiche Lawachipe Olwan, which means a rabbit dance song. It's a lady's choice round dance melody. Floyd Ridcrow Westerman taught me this a long time ago. Thank you so much. In case that wasn't familiar, although we've done that so many times, every event I've ever done with Pete, I've done with that as well. In fact, Pete was the one who said, when we did his 90th birthday party at Madison Square Garden, he played this beautiful Menominee song that he learned a long time ago. And he said, you know, David, I'm a Mayflower descendant. And he said, when our people came over here a long, long time ago, they were treated with hospitality and respect and warmth with the people who lived here. No one asked us for our passport or how much money our family made or what our ethnic background was. They just said welcome, and they got us through that winter, and they showed us how to plant crops and how to survive in this continent. He said what we did after that was disgraceful, but he said, just remember, feeling guilty is a waste of time and a self-indulgence. But saying thank you has a lot of value, and being able to do a tiny little something in your life to extend that thank you to other people who might be just showing up as well, and to those who did show up before, and to the people who welcomed us. Just a little tiny something is a whole lot. This was something that was just so terrific. And he mentioned that when the Irish people came here, they were treated in the beginning in the same way. And he said, here's a wonderful song that showed that the spirit was stronger than the colonization of Ireland for so long, and that just as they tried to get the native people not to speak their language, to cut their hair, not to do their dancing, and forget who they were, the same thing was done. But just like the Native American people and so many other people, somehow that culture was kept alive. And when I went over to the Cork Festival, I saw signs in Gaelic and heard more great penny whistle players and traditional musicians than ever in my life, and they weren't presented in a bottle of formaldehyde by expert ethno-funkologists. And you get one drop of information by having to mortgage your house in order to get somebody else's idea that never even was there and didn't dig it in the first place. This was just something everybody did, and they kept their culture alive, and that's something a lot of the younger folks can do now, because they can go on YouTube and see the real deal, and then turn off the television set after they've studied it and hang out with people who can show them how to do it even better or differently. So this is one of those great old songs, and this will be our first finger pop along of the evening. It's called The Fox Hunt, and it's a slip jig, which, as you know, instead of being 6/8 or 2, it's a 9/8 or 3. So instead of being it's actually got that extra beat, so it's called a slip jig. And this is one called The Fox Hunt, and I use this as a symphonic piece. And when I was at my Hibernian Studies Center, the Bells of Hell bar, when the Eagle Town was closed down, Malachi McCourt, who was the manager, said, David, I'm going to have some of the bar to show you how to do this right. So I sat at this big table, and I said, you know, I'm trying to get the is it da 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 dilia da dee or da 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 dilia da dee or da 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 dee? And he said, David, the secret of Irish music is the ornamentation, and I'm not going to show it to you. So the whole table cracked up laughing, and then I got a huge 2-hour crash course in how 5 miles away from one place, the same thing would be played exactly the same way, but with different ornamentation. So he said, look, about 80 people are out together in a session, and that's a session or jam session. He said, if everybody plays it a certain way, that's probably right enough for that situation. So this is the Fox Hunt, and we're happy to play it for you. And we're going to ask you to finger pop along. Actually, you can use 2 fingers, then you won't hurt yourself. It said, yappa-dee-pop, yappa-dee-pop, and Kevin will start off the baron part of the drums. Something short. Well, that was such a beautiful piece, and we'd like to do something now that's not necessarily considered to be part of the folk tradition, but it really is. If you go way back, words, spoken word with musical accompaniment goes all the way back to Homer, the first great freestyler rapper of ancient Greece, when he, on a ship, managed to rap out 12 or 1,300 pages, depending on which translation you read of the Iliad and the Odyssey. And he was always accompanied by a lira player. That's a little, kind of like a lap harp that we have now. And you see the old Greek pottery, there's always a picture of somebody playing something while they're reading. And King David also did that. And the songs of Solomon were always accompanied by a harp player. We don't have any recordings of that, unfortunately, but that was something that was done all the time. And throughout history, they've been doing that. And when I did the first ever jazz poetry readings with Jack Kerouac in 1957, someone who is a prominent scholar said, do you think that Langston Hughes would be interested in that? And I said, well, I can ask him, because in 1965, when I was asked this, I was writing a cantata with him. And Langston said, we did that all the time at the rent parties, but we didn't call it jazz poetry or poetry music. In fact, Jack and I did it. We called poetry music, music poetry, depending on whatever was happening at the moment, whoever was there and what it was for. And we didn't plan anything except to listen to each other, pay attention, just the way you do when you hear good folk players and nobody's showing off or drowning out each other. They're enhancing the moment and one another's creativity, and always having the words be understood. And as a result of that, Billy Collins, years after Jack passed away, said, David, the reason I hardly play with most musicians is because the music is already in the poetry. And he said, very often people, because of the desperation of the situation, either scream into the microphone so they can get a gig somewhere, or the band is not listening to the poets and try to drown them out. So what we tried to do in that situation was to try to enhance the words. And we're going to play a song that Jack and I wrote together after we did the first ever jazz poetry readings. It was called Pull My Daisy. And the cast were Allen Ginsberg, Gregory Corso playing themselves. I was Mez McGillicuddy, the deranged French hornist. Larry Rivers was supposed to be Neil Cassidy, dressed up as a train conductor, but he had a baritone saxophone. Someone said, well, wait a minute. Neil never played the saxophone. Jack said, no, it didn't make any difference. He played the saxophone, so to put that in. And then they said to me, well, how come you're playing Ms. McGillicuddy, the deranged French hornist? I said, I don't know, I'll ask Jack. So I said, Jack, what, I'm not an actor. What is it that I'm supposed to do? And he said, just be you. So that was my introduction to the Stanislavski method. None of us were actors, which we proved by our non-performances. But Jack's spontaneous narration was incredible. This is the song Pull My Daisy from the little-known film of the same name, which is now on YouTube, so now a whole new generation can see what it was like to hang out with Jack, because his narration was completely spontaneous for a silent film. After we massacred his film, it was edited from 3 weeks of clowning around into 29 minutes. He somehow took what we had ruined of his story and made a brand new story out of it by watching the film, and you can hear what he did just on the spot. It was just wonderful. So we hope that you enjoy it. Well, it's great to be back here in this beautiful place again after so many years. Seeing all of you show up on a Saturday night really almost brings us to tears, because we never thought in the first place that we'd ever get a chance to come back here again. And after so many times of being in this wonderful church, I can only say Amen. And Amen, and from the Amen corner of life, which means it's really understood that everybody can do something in their life that they love to do, and it doesn't have to be should or would, but is, because is what it always should be and always is in the first place. And that being here in this special part of Manhattan, USA is a very, very special place. Well, people who rhyme compulsively like this are usually considered to be certifiably crazy. So before the authorities carry me away, I'll just say that's the special version of the wonderful People's Voice Cafe introduction to the song by Jack of Pull My Daisy. Pull my daisy, tip my cup, all my doors are open. Hop my heart for coconuts, all my eggs are broken. Hop my heart, son, heart my life, zeros hold me steady. Hit my angel, heart my life, lay it on the DD. Hop my heart, son, heart my life, zeros hold me steady. Hit my angel, heart my life, lay it on the DD. Well, I have a question to ask all of you in this very, very special place where I'm sitting. I can scarcely hear Renee Hart on the bass. Can you hear her too out there? If you do, that's cool. Don't want to sound like an overeducated fool, because I can feel it anyway. But I want you to hear Renee when he does play. We used to do that all the time. Woo! Before you're down the line. There's not too much more that I've got to say. We're going to hear Mr. Renee Hart play. back a long time ago. Play along. His name is Kevin Twig, don't you know? We used to do it the way we would blow. We have a phone book with sticks too. We played the percussion any way we could. I always used to carry my French horn, the instrument for which I was born. For that I've got to say, we're gonna give you an example of what we did back in the day. Sorrow's hold me steady. Hit my angel heart, my light. Lay it on the needy. Heart, my heart, song, heart, my light. Sorrow's hold me steady. Hit my angel heart, my light. Lay That's the way they used to scat sing in what they now call the vernacular in Bushwick, Brooklyn, back in the day. Well, we used to make up the words in the music all the time. And when Jack was just a little boy in Lowell, Massachusetts, he felt what he was doing was fine. But since he didn't speak English till he was 6 years old, he always did with his father Leo, who came from Nashua, but originally from French Canada before that, and only spoke in French, what he was told. He said, mon cher Jackie, si tu restes ici toute la vie, sûrement tu seras obligé comme ta mère à travailler toute la vie dans un factory, which meant, man, you better get out of town or otherwise you're going to end up like your mother in Lowell, Massachusetts, and spend the rest of your life working in a factory. Well, Jack not only learned English, but took out more books from the Lowell Library than anyone else did in history. And that's not my opinion, because you can go to the New York Public Library Bird Collection and see his old library card, and it's all worn out. He's going about the library reading just about every classical work in the English language way back then. So in spite of his great football achievements, he also got a scholarship after being told that he could go to Harshman and see if he might be able to go to another college eventually someday in the day. And, well, sure enough, he got accepted into the ultra-cosmic top 5 Ivy League choke buildings of Columbia U. And all the people in Lowell, Massachusetts were as thrilled as Jack and his family, because he found out that this was something he never thought that he could do. And years later, We were a bit of a whack at that time when he would have been the next football star. Probably ended up playing for the Giants, but instead, the third week of football practice, he broke his leg. So he had to give up his academic and literary dreams because he had no other way to get into college except because of his high IQ. And back then, that didn't mean anything for anybody's dreams. And instead of that, he went out and had all kinds of funky day jobs until he was 35 years old. And I met him when he was 34 and even more obscure than me. Had a bring your own bottle party, and he said, come on and play along and we'll see if we can do it, exercise our shared creativity. Well, finally, the third string critic of the mighty New York Times named, you all remember his name, Gilbert Milstein, I'm sure. He came along and said, I, like Jack, I'm a real doer. And he gave it a fantastically good review. And all the parents of their children who work day jobs so that they can have their child be the next great American author were so pathologically jealous they didn't know what to do. And Truman Capote got on a television show and said it wasn't writing, it was typing. Now old Truman, in spite of the great books that he wrote himself, is still up in heaven on the John Wingate show in the same soiled white suit, complaining and griping. So for everyone here at the People's Voice Cafe, just remember each and every day, all of us have a story to tell, and each of us can do it in our very own way. So whether you want to write, paint, play, sing, or get out your rototiller to get your window box with some new crops, since it's already the year 2019 and it's spring. In the interest of creativity, and please don't think that if you feel that way, you're crazy. Just remember to pull your days. In a shocking display of maturity and responsibility, considering I never thought I'd even live long enough to get older, much less be an older person, I'm going to exercise what I should have done 40 years ago or 50 years ago when some of you first heard me, and I go 4 hours overtime. We're going to actually take a break the way normal groups do so that you can get some cookies and enjoy yourself. I have a brief intermission, and then we'll come